Mr. Wall. Tēnā koe, Ms. Wall.
Kia ora, Mr. Speaker, talofa lava. It is my pleasure to rise in this third reading of the New Zealand Mission Trust Board Otamataha Empowering Bill 2013. I'd like to take this opportunity to mihi to Te Ururo Flevel, another bill he's going to get through the House. Kia ora. I'd like to mihi to the Church Mission Society, the Otamataha Trust, Ngāti Tapu and Ngai Tamara Waho, and the representatives that are here today. Just want to take us through a very brief history lesson. Essentially, lands were, there was a transaction and lands were gifted from Māori to the Church Mission Society in 1835. In 1852, there was a dispute about those lands. The state, the Crown, stepped in and said, the lands don't belong to you, tangata whenua, they belong to the Church Mission Society. Just want to read an excerpt from Te Raupatu o Tauranga Moana, a report on the Tauranga confiscation claims dated 2004. And it says, we accept that the strictly legal beneficiary of the trust was the Church Mission Society, not Tauranga Moana. The land had already been permanently alienated from its Māori owners through the Crown action of granting the land to the CMS, an action which we have found was in breach of treaty principles. In a narrowly legal sense, then, Māori had no remaining rights in the Te Papa block, and the CMS was free to use the land for whatever purposes it wished. What the CMS did was gifted 80% of that land back to the trust, and they retained 20%, which has been retained in the form of the New Zealand Mission Trust Board, Tauranga. And what I want to acknowledge is that the Church Mission Society since 1998 has actively ensured that tangata whenua have been involved in that trust. And essentially what this piece of legislation is doing is changing the beneficiaries from, and I do want to read this because it's interesting. So currently, the beneficiaries are for the spiritual benefit and spiritual instruction of Māori people in the North Island of New Zealand, or failing that, the evangelisation of heathen races in any part of the world. The beneficiaries from the enactment of this piece of legislation will be Ngāti Tapu and Ngai Tamara Waho. And I think that is the most significant part of this legislation. And I, again, want to commend the Church Mission Society for giving back what was belonged to tangata whenua originally. So, kia ora tātou katoa.
Kia ora.
Oh,
Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker.
I call the Honourable Member, Joanne Hayes. Tēnā koe, Ms. Hayes.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker, te laupa lava.